Gibson Guitars, or Gibson USA, whatever the fuck you call yourselves. I shouldn't swear. Okay. Well, Gibson Guitars, feel sorry for you, man. You're between a rock and an impossible place. What's the rock? The rock is selling new guitars. That's what they're there to do, man. They do not make money on 1959 original Gibson Les Pauls. They do not make money on those. Unfortunately, their vocal audience primarily is older guitar collectors, it seems. You see a lot of things online, a lot of people on forums. I'm pretty more keen to the YouTube creators that are out there putting out stuff, and a lot of these guys are just vintage guitar collectors, dumpster divers, pawn shop surfers. They have a very strong opinion on what Gibson should be today, yet they're not buying new guitars. They are out there looking for good deals on vintage guitars that they can collect and swap and make some money on themselves. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, Gibson Guitars is trying to sell new instruments. That's how they make their money, right? Unfortunately, they've had to, in some sense, bow to the vocal majority of guitarists that are not even buying their new instruments. They're in love with the brand. They are absolutely in love with the brand. These older guys, all of their heroes played Gibsons. They played Les Pauls, they played SGs, So that's what they love. And they want Gibson to produce the guitars that their heroes played when they were younger. Yet they will not buy them. So that's Gibson, between a rock and a hard place. Has Gibson had some missteps? Yes, absolutely. Every company does, But being a major corporation producing guitars in 2019, their primary responsibility is to be profitable. That's what they're trying to do. Unfortunately, they're trying to do it in an environment with social media, YouTube, where there's a lot of people talking smack about them that don't have any intentions of even buying one of their new guitars. And that's unfortunate. That is very unfortunate for Gibson. Let's talk a little bit about the whole lawsuit stuff that's been going on. Now this is strictly my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. It's worth nothing. It's my opinion. That's it. If you agree with this, leave a comment, whatever, or don't leave a comment. It doesn't matter. I'm just sharing my opinion because I'm into this guitar. I'm really into the online guitar culture. I think the sad part about it is it's partially outrage culture now that gets the attention. Like when Gibson has a misstep with the recent thing of them destroying all of those Firebird X guitars. Everybody's in an uproar and they're talking about it, and that's getting them clicks. People are watching those videos, which is entirely fine. But I don't think that rules what Gibson is trying to do today. So, lawsuits, right? So Gibson is suing, or has sued, a couple of guitar manufacturers for trademark infringement. And they're infringing on the body shape of the guitar. Primarily, I think the Les Paul is the biggest copied outside of the Fender Stratocaster. The Les Paul body shape is the closest copied body shape out there. Now, I'm looking at this entirely from the perspective of a consumer. Like, I like guitars. I like buying guitars. And to be honest with you, I'm in that realm where I don't buy a lot of new guitars. I did purchase this Epiphone Les Paul brand new. But I bought it because, honestly and truthfully, at the time I bought it, I could not afford a Gibson Les Paul. They were way out of my price range. I think I bought this in around 2001. And it was very inexpensive. And as a matter of fact, this is a second Epiphone Les Paul. So, why did I buy the Epiphone Les Paul? Because I couldn't afford a Gibson Les Paul? I bought it because I wanted a guitar with that body shape, and I wanted a guitar with the scale length, you know, the whole thing. I wanted to, I wanted a guitar that was similar to what Slash played. Realistically, that's why I ended up buying it. I couldn't afford the Gibson. Epiphone was a great alternative. And it's close to Gibson. This guitar actually says, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it says Gibson right on the truss rod cover. So, you know, I'm a sucker just like everybody else. I buy things for emotional reasons, especially instruments. You buy them for emotional reasons. So, Gibson, well-known Les Paul body shape. People love it. A lot of our guitar heroes play them. That's why we play them. To be honest with you, that's the reality. There are plenty of other instruments that play just as good as a Gibson Les Paul. Like this Epiphone plays fantastic. But, so Gibson is now suing some guitar manufacturers for infringing on their trademarks. I think that's good for Gibson to do that. They should do that. They should have defended that years ago. And my perspective as a consumer for that is every time another guitar company copies this body style and sells it, that's a lost opportunity for that company to do something new, interesting, and original themselves. I think because Gibson and Fender have been copied so dramatically that a lot of these other guitar companies have let themselves down. They did not take that energy and put it into creating something new and interesting. So, should Gibson defend their trademarks? Absolutely. They should take it to the Supreme Court if they have to. They should defend that. That is their original creation, and they have the right to exclusivity on the resale of that intellectual property. That's the way the world works. You create something new, you trademark it, nobody else should be able to reproduce it. However, they haven't defended their trademark, so it's going to be up to the courts, you know. If they do a jury trial in the U.S., it'll be up to the 12 people that decide the fate of their trademarks. It'll be interesting to see what happens. A lot of it is because of something. I think Gibson has grounds to stand on because there's a lot to be said about companies creating consumer confusion. And I guess in the state of this guitar, being it's an Epiphone that actually says Gibson on it, if you're not knowledgeable about the Gibson Epiphone business and the relationship and how that developed with Gibson buying Epiphone years ago, I would say that this is a prime example done by Gibson themselves of creating consumer confusion. So I think they need to be careful as everybody else. But anyway, I think Gibson is in an incredibly difficult place. They're incredibly challenged. I guess they are what you would consider a lifestyle brand, and that's what they need to defend with their trademarks, is that lifestyle branding. And I wish them the best of luck. To be honest with you, if any of these other guitar manufacturers that are producing single cut Les Paul style body shapes, if they were prevented from doing that, just imagine what they would come up with, you know? Anyway, that's all I got to say about Gibson. I feel for them. I wish them the best of luck. I wish Mark Agnesi the best of luck. I think he is in an incredibly difficult position as a figurehead in social media for Gibson, for the Gibson brand. I did watch his stuff on Norm's Rare Guitars, and I got a kick out of the guy. He's got a great personality, great presence, very knowledgeable about all the instruments that he talked about. But he is in a tough position because he brought, for Gibson, the credibility of what he did at Norm's Rare Guitars. That came with Mark Agnesi. He brought that with him. Gibson hopefully will leverage that appropriately in the future. There have been some missteps, I guess, but it all comes down to us, the consumer, and doing the right thing. I think it's shitty that there's people on the internet deeply criticizing Gibson every step of the way, you know. It's really kind of the point where it's like a witch hunt, These guys are watching every move that Gibson makes so they can produce content online to gain viewership or whatever they're doing it for. But they really have no real intention or real interest in purchasing a new guitar manufactured by this company. So, that's my 2 cents on the issue. Put this video up and see if I get any responses from it. Alright, man? Well, it's Sunday. I'm going to kick back and relax. Maybe have a beer. Maybe do some barbecuing. You guys have a great week. We'll talk to you later, man. Peace.